So I'm on the BJJ Fanatics website, and I see 3 new videos by some guy named Thomas Radzinski. You familiar with that guy at all?
Nope, absolutely not.
No? Well, he's got some good stuff. Three brand new videos. They're getting amazing reviews, which is good to see as well. But you got to tell us about them real quick?
Yeah, I had, you guys already know, but I had opportunity to go to Boston, shoot 3 more instructionals, 1 on butterfly hook, complete guide for butterfly hook, 2 wrap, lapel, and submit them, and 3 we have taking the back. It's particularly designed for guys for over 40 because there's no climbing involved. All the back takes are on the ground. Very, very full and effective system. So dip into it. I'm really hoping that this is going to help your jiu-jitsu and really take it to the next level.
BJJfanatics.com. Just search ROZDZ. We have all had that situation where after class is when we want to ask a question. And Thomas, a lot of those questions you've already answered, right, at Ask a Black Belt.
Yeah, it's another podcast that I'm running. It's on podcast, all podcast platforms, plus on YouTube. You can find it anywhere. Just search for my name. Search for Ask a Black Belt. At this point, over 100 episodes, different questions, jiu-jitsu, life-related, but something that everybody comes across, and often these questions sink in our mind, but we don't ask for whatever reason. So if that benefits you, go there, listen. It actually might help your jiu-jitsu, might help your life as well. And if you have any questions, find me on Instagram and drop me a line. I'll be happy to answer your question and mention your name during the episode.
Welcome to Raw Radio.
We are live.
Here we go.
Before we get to the meat and potatoes, you have a story.
Potatoes? I don't. Well, yeah, I do. It's embarrassing.
Is it?
I do. Well, yeah.
Why? You
Because
lost it?
I lost my temper a little bit. But
why?
only for a second, and it worked out just fine.
Only for a second.
Well, why did I lose my temper? That's a long story. It has to do.
It's always a long story, isn't it?
It has to do with going out to the garage. I have a detached garage. Going out to the garage to straighten it up a little bit, right? Spring cleaning.
Yeah.
And it was just, at some point, it was insurmountable, and I was so furious. There's so much stuff back there in there that doesn't need to be there, and blah blah blah, and so on and so forth. And
it's just like compiled stuff over the years, or like from the winter stuff.
That from stuff not put away, everything just thrown in there. I don't want to get too into it because Margaret will get mad at me. But
it doesn't matter. You have stuff in the garage. It's a mess.
And I was cleaning it up, and
yeah,
I was losing my mind, and I was like, you know what, I need a couple storage bins, and I've got like mismatched ones, and I'm like, no, I'm going to get all the same, at least everything. I'm that type of guy where if it's all the same color and all the same brand,
look at that.
Yeah, I'll be all right with it. So I went over to Home Depot, and I was looking at. I wasn't happy with what they had, and so then I did find something I liked, and I was in the aisle, and I was being very conscious of where I was because it was on the bottom, so I wanted to squat down and look, and I'm making sure I'm not blocking the aisle. I don't even have a cart with me or anything. And somebody behind me goes, "Hey man, could you get out of the way?" And I'm listen. I just, as I stood up, I instantly stood up, and as I was turning around, I said something I shouldn't have said. You're going to love this part of it.
Okay.
It was the parent of one of our students.
No way.
Yes.
No
Mark, if you're out there,
way.
Mark. But Mark is he's an awesome guy, and like he's trained before and stuff, and like he has mutual friends of, that's probably why he was messing with me, right?
Oh, so he was messing with you.
Absolutely knew it was me. Absolutely did it on purpose.
That's classic. That's awesome.
So
by the way, so next episode we're gonna have Mark on the show because
sure.
I want to get his perspective on this.
So what's really great about it though is I turned around and I was like, oh dude, I'm so glad it was somebody I knew and somebody messing with me because I'm just having a terrible day. I'm super frustrated about stuff. And he was like, oh, so am I, and I said, yeah, and he says, I was outside cleaning out the garage and there's so much stuff in there. It's driving me crazy. So I started laughing. I was like, that's exactly why I'm going crazy today. So we chatted a little bit, had a good laugh. I bought what I wanted. I got these awesome bins that
They
actually
match?
a little too big. Well, they don't. They only match each other.
Oh,
which means everything, right? So I got to go back now.
That's how they get you.
Yep, everything's got to be replaced. But they're massive and they're on wheels, and I love them. So side note, before we get to the meat and potatoes, I had our regular 4-door sedan, our regular car, and Margaret was in the city 33 miles away with the SUV. So I bought these massive bins, and then as soon as I paid for them, I went, "Oh, how am I going to get home?"
That's awesome.
I had to make 2 trips.
So what, did you leave it at the store?
Yeah, I rolled them back in, and the woman, I said it loud enough for, they check there's always somebody at the self-checkout. She said, "Uh-oh, you couldn't fit them in?" And I said, "No, can I leave these 2 here?" And she said, "Sure." And I was like, "All right, I'll be back in 15 minutes." So took the first set home, came back and got the rest.
I assume they were waiting for you. Otherwise, there would be more words exchanged.
Yeah, she cut aside for me. She was like, "I'll put them where this idiot can't miss them." They're right there.
It sounds like a memorable weekend for you.
It was I did not manage my frustration. I fed off of it. I piled.
You didn't even look, huh? You just
No, I just.
you just vomited out the words, huh?
Man, and, I could have got myself in trouble. So luckily I did. But it alleviated. The rest of the day was great. I went home. I put the stuff that I wanted in those bins, and then sat down in the backyard because it was a nice day out.
Sometimes that's all it takes. Is that one
Just
volcano,
Yeah. Yeah.
to make the day better.
Yep, absolutely. So that's my little story.
Well,
That's my 7-minute story.
Well, good for you. Now we can wrap up the show.
Yeah.
So we had Jason on.
And
New York. He doesn't sound like New York, by the way.
a little bit, but not like a lot of the guys we've had on from the East Coast.
So what was the biggest impact for you from the conversation?
There was a couple things I wrote down, and I even, I told my story. I forgot what we were going to talk about. So what was it for you?
I took a lot of things, but I think one of the big things that, beginning of the conversation really focused on this. Teaching jiu-jitsu is not the same as running the business, and I kind of hung out on that, in that area quite a bit. So it was a good chat. What about you?
It's definitely not the same. And even got into the differences of coaching and instructing and the differences there. We've talked about that before, though. Like who can, it is a business, and I think part of that business, and this is what we were really going to talk about, is jiu-jitsu for the masses, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as the conversation evolved, we started talking about rule sets, and one of the things that I didn't get to ask is if jiu-jitsu ever has the rule set, will it be for the masses anymore?
Yeah.
I was kind of thinking that if it's going that ADCC route, is jiu-jitsu going to be, we already hear from a lot of people that I'm too old to do it, or am I too old to do it? And if that's the way it goes in 10 years, are people who are 40 years old going to be too old to do jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, we don't know. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen in the
right?
future.
If it keeps going that sport route,
Yeah.
not even ADCC, but sport, are people who are 40 going to be left out? Are people who are physically limited in some way going to be left out?
This is the interesting part about all of this, is that I feel like we all want to have the superheroes. We love the guys who we love the Michael Jordans. We love the Kobe Bryants and so on, and Wayne Gretzky's and all that. Like, we want the guys who are awesome at their craft, whichever sport it is. We love Gordon Ryan. Everybody does. Everybody loves to watch him. Now, nobody trains the way how Michael Jordan does. Nobody trains like Gordon Ryan does.
Right.
And, that doesn't mean you shouldn't practice basketball. You shouldn't, pick up a game here and there, or play hockey or swim or do whatever. But I think Jiu-Jitsu is the only, if not one of very few, and I know which one it is, where you can train with the professionals.
Sure.
And I think this is where this gray area comes in, where nobody else is in any other sport that's defined. In all other sports, the professionalism is clearly separated from amateurs, and in jiu-jitsu is not.
No, not yet. And I bet it will be really soon.
Perhaps.
Nobody's training with Gordon Ryan. No, nobody who's walking into an academy as a white belt or a blue belt is training with Gordon Ryan anymore.
Perhaps. However, you can sign up for Worlds or Pan Ams.
Sure.
And if he signs up too, you will be in his bracket.
Well, yeah, I mean,
and
this is going up against Mighty Mouse.
But this is what I mean. This doesn't happen in any other sport. You cannot pick up. You can't sign up for a local tournament or even national basketball tournament and you have Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant in it. It will never happen. None of this happens in hockey. None of this happens. Like, you can meet these guys. You can interact with them, but you will never be in the same competing environment with them. And I think this is what's different about jiu-jitsu and this is why oftentimes this gray area gets crossed, meaning if you want to train jiu-jitsu, you have to do what these guys do, and otherwise you're too old for it. You're not fit enough. You will never win. You will never compete.
Right.
And I think in some ways this plays against us.
Yeah, and I think what really plays against us is the nature of it to begin with. If you go down to your local rec center, there might be one or two dudes that go hard on the basketball court, and you're going to be like, I don't want to play with these guys. But if you sign up for jiu-jitsu,
why do I get this bubble all the time?
I don't know.
It's super annoying.
Yeah.
But I didn't do this.
You're derailing us.
I know.
A little thought bubble pops up next to Thomas's head on the software that we use. But jiu-jitsu, it's a contact sport. It's a contact activity. It's a martial art. And if you make it exclusive to athletes, I think you're going to start thinning out the people that are going to be doing it.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
100%.
Yeah. So and that's my take on all of this is the more towards sport it goes, the more towards 10th planet it goes, the more towards, competition as far as no-gi and professionalism or semi-pro even, is it going to remove a lot of the student body? They say jiu-jitsu is for everybody. Is it always going to be that way? If it keeps heading in this direction, is it going to be for the 55-year-old professional, corporate guy?
Well, this is the $1 million question, right? And we will only see this in the future. And I really believe this is not going to be in our lifetime. I don't think this conversion will take place this fast. But I think at some point, if jiu-jitsu continues in this professional route, it will become a professional sport, truly professional, with multi-million-dollar contracts. It will. However, it will dilute the opposite side of it. And I think especially no-gi will become less accessible to the common person, to the common guy.
Right.
Now, as long as gi jiu-jitsu remains in the point of interest, I think that is going to be the safe space for the blue-collar guy, for the office guy, for the average Joe Schmo who just simply wants to train jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, but I think who's going to be there to teach it to him? There's not going to be as many instructors.
No, I don't know about that, because I think instructors will do similar selection. Look, not everybody is going to be a Phil Jackson or, a professional coach or Dana Hawk.
No, what I'm saying is that if the art and the sport are heading in that direction, over time, you're going to start losing the instructors of gi because they're not going to be training gi.
I disagree.
Guys are going to come up exclusive no gi.
I disagree.
Okay.
And the reason why is because I think there will be instructors who will have an understanding, and they already are out there. I think a lot of instructors have this, and even Jason was mentioning this. If you want to be a pro fighter, pro grappler, you need to go no-gi route, and you need to train in a very specific way, and you need to be selfish about it. You need to be the best of the best of the best. That's Gordon Ryan right now. That's Gary Tonin and all the other guys.
Mhm.
However, if you want to own a business, you need to focus mostly on gi. Not necessarily, but that's where the masses are. This is what teaches the average person the common jiu-jitsu, the community jiu-jitsu, the accessible jiu-jitsu, the non-professional jiu-jitsu. And I think a lot of instructors will make that determination and will make that decision at some point. For some will be early, for some will be way after their professional career is over, but they will make the determination of, listen, I can do one or the other. I cannot do both. And I think if you look at today's professional athletes, the handful that are out there, they already doing this. You don't see some of those pros. You don't see any of those pros teaching classes. They don't. They focus on their craft.
Mhm.
Now you have guys who have retired, and now they are shifting to teaching, and they own businesses. Some of them own very successful businesses, and most of those businesses, not all of them. I don't want to take away from the no-gi guys, because no-gi is important. There's some very successful no-gi academies, but there is something behind, I would say, more than 70, 80% of academies being gi. And there are some very successful ones.
Well, I hope so. I think as long as people are still doing it for self-defense, we'll see that. I hope so. I hope it doesn't go anywhere. So I don't know.
I don't think any of this is changing in our lifetime.
I'm old.
Even so,
Oh, right.
more so. Like you're gonna.
What I'm saying is that's not saying much. I'm old.
Yeah. Well,
Right? My lifetime and
but at the same
Jason's lifetime are different.
But at the same time, look, all of this is really up to us, and I think this is the important part to everybody to keep in mind. All of this is up to us. If the majority of instructors choose to go the pro route and train professionals, then obviously there will be nobody training the average population, non-professional. Let's just put it that way, right? But if there will be always a desire for people to learn jiu-jitsu, self-defense, and just non-professional jiu-jitsu, then always there will be somebody who's willing to teach. I think jiu-jitsu is, at this point of its existence, it's so rooted around the world. Is not going away. This is not going away. The question is, which direction is it going to go?
Right.
And how is it going to evolve? And that's the question. And that part is really up to us. All of us. You, me, and everybody who comes behind us. And the way how we train the students, and because at some point they will take that over. Right? So what mindset they have and what vision is being presented to them, that's what's really going to dictate a lot of this, and I think a lot of it is thanks to some of the, some of the history that we continue pushing and teaching people self-defense as important as it is.
Cool. All right. Let's leave it.
Later.
See you.
Thank you for listening to Raw Radio. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to leave us a review and help us make the show even more amazing. For future episodes, check out our website and follow us on all major podcast platforms. Take care.